El gobernador de California, Gavin Newsom, dio una conferencia de prensa y dijo: "Nosotros lideramos con fuerza. No permitimos que Donald Trump ni el grupo MAGA nos lideren". O sea que ni el gobernador ni California se van a dejar intimidar por Donald Trump. Hombres como este es muy bueno escuchar, ya que no le tienen miedo a Donald y son capaces de hacer todo lo posible por realmente buscar lo mejor para su estado y no simplemente lo mejor para Donald Trump. Miren el clip, por favor.
But I'm not going to sit back any longer in a position, the fetal position, in a position of weakness, when in fact California can demonstrably advance strength. And that's what we intend to do, to show our strength and capacity of purpose, of conviction, in the spirit of our founding father.
Y continúa diciendo: lideramos con fuerza moral, lideramos con convicción. No nos echaremos para atrás, no toleraremos estas cosas. Déjame mostrarte otra parte de esta excelente conferencia de prensa que dio el gobernador de California, Gavin Newsom. Mira el clip, por favor.
Well, we're reacting to the President of the United States and Governor Abbott trying to rig the election. They recognize they can't win in the midterms. All the momentum has shifted away from them. So they're doing what President Trump familiarly does, and that is trying to, dial for votes in Georgia. And now he's dialing up districts to maintain control and complete abdication of oversight, which is what Speaker Johnson's best known for. And I've said this many times, I think there's a growing recognition in this country, not just with Democrats, independents, but also Republicans, that de facto the Trump presidency ends in November of next year if the American people are given a fair chance and a voice and a choice. We will take back Congress. The President of the United States recognizes that, so he wants to rig the game, wants to change the rules midterm. They're very effective at this. They've done this in the past. They've got a lot of experience doing this. He dials up Greg Abbott, says, I need 5 instead of 12,000 votes. In Georgia, I need 5 House seats. He obliges. And they're doing a midterm rejection of objectivity and independence. A act that we could criticize from the sideline, or an act that we can respond to in kind, fight fire with fire in the spirit that brings us here together today. If so much wasn't at stake, our federal support for recovery efforts in Los Angeles that are not conditioned based on politics or the whim of a particular personality. If so many of our state grants, if so many of the values we hold dear weren't at stake, perhaps we wouldn't put a stake or plant a stake in the ground, but we feel very differently. And I believe the vast majority of Americans feel differently. This is an existential moment. And so as a consequence, we have moved forward to analyze the prospect of doing a mid-term, as it were, process in between the census and begin the process of redistricting, working with the legislature, working with the congressional representatives. And we're in the process of making a determination to be able to answer in detail your question. The process, though, looks a little bit like this. A special election would be called. It's likely to be the first week of November. That process will unfold in a way where maps will be made available in a transparent way. We will go to the people of this state in a transparent way and ask them to consider the new circumstances, to consider these new realities. As someone that supports statewide and national independent redistricting, someone who supported the original redistricting as a Democrat, not many of us are out there. I believe in that principle, and it should be advanced nationwide. We're not here to eliminate the commission. We're here to provide a pathway in 26, 28, and in 2030 for congressional maps on the basis of a response to the rigging of the system by the President of the United States. And it won't just happen in Texas. I imagine he's making similar calls all across this country. It's a big deal. I don't think it gets much bigger. And we're going to respond in a transparent way, an honest way, but it's in response. But I'm not going to sit back any longer in a position, the fetal position, in a position of weakness, when in fact California can demonstrably advance strength. And that's what we intend to do, to show our strength and capacity of purpose, of conviction, in the spirit of our founding fathers, in the spirit of the best of Roman Republic and Greek democracy, in the spirit of checks and balances, in the spirit of rule and law, the spirit that defines the best of this 249-year enduring experiment. And I'm not going to sit back and watch Donald Trump continue to wreak havoc under the rule of law and continue to wreak havoc over the principles that define the best of this nation. And so I'm grateful for the legislature, grateful for congressional representatives about how far we've come in the process. And over the course of the next week or two, we will have more information to share with you on a timely basis. Please be careful not reporting about maps. I've not seen one. I love that you all seen maps, news to me. But I assure you this, I will not be part of this unless the people of the state of California don't have those maps. This is not going to be done in a back room. This is not going to be done by members of some private group or body. It's going to be given to the voters for their consideration in a very transparent way so they know exactly what they're doing. And they can go back in 2030 to original form with our independent redistricting intact in the spirit that I think should be advanced all across this country, not just in California.
Aquí viene otro momento muy poderoso de esta conferencia de prensa. Míralo, por favor.
How much did it cost to have the theatrics with the National Guard and Trump? What was the cost of having thousands and thousands of brave men and women, our heroes, in uniform, waiting for a mission task for the vulgar theater of trying to express, some position of power over the state by federalizing the National Guard or bringing in the United States Marines. By the way, I hope you find that out. How many hundreds of millions of dollars was wasted as it relates to the National Guard deployment? How many National Guardsmen and women actually did anything? How many months they sat there not doing vegetation and forest management? By the way, on that, can I highlight something? I think this is interesting and I would run with this. Between May and June, the Cal Guard assisted fentanyl interdiction declined 57% because Donald Trump and Stephen Miller took the National Guard off of our counter-narcotics task forces to address the issue of fentanyl. And it impacted those operations, a 57% decline. They took folks off the Guard, off our rattlesnake teams, working side by side with CAL FIRE and CCC to prepare for wildfire season, vegetation forest management, particularly necessary in light of the federal cuts coming from the administration. This is what's at stake with redistricting. This is what's at stake for our state. And this is why it matters to everybody. And that's why we continue to look forward to landing in the place where our legislature as representatives and our federal partners feel in a transparent way could give the people of the state of California a real choice.
Y finalmente déjame compartirte este momento increíble de la conferencia. Préstale mucha atención.
Well, we continue to call for the higher angels. I mean, every Republican care about their kids, grandkids. These are good people. I think they want to be there for other people. I think that's inspiring. Happiest people I know are people that support other people. That's what public service is all about. So I still believe in that. I may be romantic and old-fashioned. I still believe people will do the right thing at the end of the day. So I'm hopeful that $39 billion, which we think is a very conservative number, we didn't put that number out lightly, that will be there for each other. I hope we're there for the people of Texas. We should be. I'd be proud. I mean, they receive about $71 billion a year, federal taxes, more than they provide. We provide $83 billion more in federal taxes I'm glad some of that money will go to Texas. I hope the Texas delegation will consider that. All the federal money that they receive from the state of California in relationship to this interdependence, and this fundamental notion that we're all better off, we're all better off. Many parts, one body, United States of America, not the divided states, not red and blue. It's red, white, and blue. So there's 39 billion reasons that I have confidence still in the men and women that took that oath to the Constitution that they'll do the right thing and not play politics when it comes to disaster aid and disaster recovery.
Y sabes, el gobernador de California, Gavin Newsom, ha estado hablando constantemente de fuerza, poder y de contraatacar a Donald Trump. Y de hecho, hace una semana estuvo en una conferencia con un gran creador de contenido estadounidense llamado Brian Taylor Cohen, que de hecho les recomiendo su contenido. Miren el clip, por favor.
And we have two things. We have formal authority. We still have it in so many of these states. We have states like California with the state of mind where you can pick up 5+ seats. And we can push back, but we also have moral authority because we know what we're fighting for. We know who we're fighting against. And so when you have moral authority and formal authority, you need to exercise it at peril of being judged not to have lived. And all of us will judge ourselves, even more extraordinarily, extremely that is, if we don't meet this moment. So let's not dream of regretting. Those that have the privilege like I do, public service at this moment, I'm so blessed. I mean, if I was on the sideline kicking and screaming, just trying to throw things at, or just, sending messages, watching something like this, that's hard. I empathize with that. And so I'm so lucky to be that voice to the extent I can. And so I'm going to do my best. I don't want to overpromise here. There's still a lot of issues we're trying to address and kick the tires on. But if we don't win back this House, if we don't take back the House, we may not have an election in 2028. That is not a gross exaggeration. I mean, when you receive in the mail a Trump 2028 hat by one of Trump's biggest influencers, they mean business.
Right.
This is a moral moment. This is the game. This is it. And we cannot tap out.
Mira, es muy bueno saber que California está liderado por un luchador, una persona que no se va a dejar doblegar por Donald Trump y que va a ser incapaz de traicionar a personas que votaron pero tan fervientemente por él. Porque sí, Gavin Newsom es una persona que no se deja doblegar, es una persona que no pone precio a su moral y es una persona capaz de hacer lo que sea necesario de forma legal para no permitir que su país, su estado se corrompa. Porque tristemente no puede hacer nada para hacer que todo el país se corrompa, eso ya no puede llegar a esos niveles, pero sí hace todo lo posible para que California siga siendo lo que es. Así que te voy a dar un consejo que doy en varios videos, puedo sonar repetitivo, si ya escuchaste mis videos, si quieres hasta te lo puedes saltar. Pero si no lo has escuchado, de verdad, presta atención. Con todo este tema de las crisis económicas, el tema de la guerra, es muy probable que exista escasez, o sea que los productos ya no lleguen tan fácilmente a los supermercados. Cuando esto pasa, hay inflación y de por sí en Estados Unidos ya hay inflación. Así que va a haber sobreprecio del sobreprecio, porque cuando hay escasez hay necesidad y si hay necesidad los precios aumentan. Bueno, tenemos esto claro. Una recesión económica va de la mano con una economía débil. Cuando hay una economía débil, las empresas no tienen opción más que despedir, reducir salarios y obviamente no contratar. Así que digamos que tienes un trabajo normal, que ganas en Estados Unidos un promedio de $3.500. Tienes 3 posibilidades, 4. La cuarta es muy endeble. La primera es que te despidan y quedes en cero. La segunda es que por el mismo trabajo que estés haciendo, te reduzcan el salario. La tercera, que es creo que la menos mala dentro de todas, es que te paguen lo mismo, pero trabajes menos horas, por ende cobres menos, pero por menos trabajo. Ok, esto es más entendible y de hecho esto lo haría una empresa que sea buena o muy grande y con dificultad para reducir salarios. Y la cuarta opción, que yo no la pondría, pero es que no te pasa absolutamente nada, esto sería raro. Pero bueno, en todos los aspectos pierdes dinero. ¿Y qué va a pasar? Si las cosas aumentan de precio y tú pierdes dinero, ¿qué crees? La vida es más difícil. Así que tienes que aprovechar ahora que tienes todos tus recursos, estás ganando, puedes ahorrar, guarda dinero. Guárdalo en el banco y guárdalo en efectivo. Porque también, de la mano, cuando hay guerra y cuando hay recesión, los bancos se dañan, los bancos dejan de funcionar, dejan de dar el dinero tuyo, te limitan, mejor dicho, ya que el banco no tiene todo el dinero en efectivo y lo que hace simplemente es darte una cantidad no tan elevada. Porque por si tú no lo sabes, cada banco tiene un porcentaje mínimo de tener en efectivo en sus cuentas, o mejor dicho, en el banco. Por ejemplo, el banco puede tener 100.000 millones, pero creo que, si no me equivoco, en Estados Unidos la ley va por entre el 8 y el 11% que tienen que tener mínimo. Depende del banco y del estado. Pero digamos que sea el 10%. Si tienes 1.000 millones, el estado te pide un mínimo de 100 millones guardados, que es una cantidad inmensa que le sirve para moverse muy bien. Y el resto, los otros 900 millones, lo tienen préstamos, los tienen por a un lado, los tienen en otras cuentas que están invirtiendo, obviamente inversiones seguras, pero no lo tiene. Así que, ¿qué pasa si todos los usuarios del banco van a retirar su dinero en efectivo porque necesitan dinero para poder sobrevivir? Y también el pánico, pues el banco se queda sin efectivo. Aquí lo que pasa es que el Estado puede salvar al banco y darle dinero del Estado, pero si un Estado está en guerra, ¿qué pasa? El banco quiebra. Los bancos por lo general tienen un tipo de seguro que cubre todo esto, pero te repito, una recesión económica, una guerra, impide que el Estado ayude. Así que mi mayor recomendación, y disculpa si lo alargué mucho, es ahorra. Guarda dinero porque pueden venirse cosas feas. Como siempre te digo, únicamente esto es una recomendación. Si no lo quieres seguir, no pasa nada. No quiere decir que no me respetes o que no. Tampoco hago valer mi título de economista como decir, hazme caso. Nada que ver. Simplemente es un consejo que te doy en agradecimiento por llegar al final de mis videos. Y también por el apoyo, porque ya casi somos 30.000 seguidores y créeme que eso me pone muy feliz. Y bueno, acabo de cumplir con mi misión. Espero que te haya gustado, espero que te haya interesado lo que viste. Si tienes cualquier duda la puedes poner en los comentarios. Y además, como siempre te digo, para mí lo más importante siempre, pero siempre va a ser tu opinión y me encantaría que la dejes ahí en los comentarios. Está de más repetirlo, pero si te gusta el contenido de política estadounidense, te va a encantar suscribirte al canal, ya que hago videos todos los días. Mi nombre es José Alvarado, soy economista y estoy comprometido con informarte diariamente. Nos vemos en el siguiente video. Adiós.